Good evening, everybody.
Recording in progress.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay,
Yes, I can hear you.
good, thank you. We're going to start a minute or so late because the Finance Committee is still concluding its discussions, and they're talking about the very important topic of Parks and Recreation and the community centers. So I'm just going to hold off for a couple of minutes until they can join us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We do have a quorum. I am dragging my feet for a moment. All right. Let's start. I will call this meeting of December 13th, 2021 to order. This is a regular meeting of the Mansfield Town Council, and we are starting a couple of minutes late. I don't have the time on my screen. It's 7:03. Okay. First item of business is a roll call. Ms. Chang, could you please call the roll?
Yes, Osberger.
Mr. Osberger is asked to be excused because he is ill.
Berthelot.
Here.
Bruder.
Here.
Coleman.
Here.
Frittoni. Kotchenberger. Moran.
Here.
Shuren,
Here.
Shaken.
Here.
Thank you.
Mr. Kotchenberger is out of town. He may be joining us. I'm not sure. Mr. Fertoni has joined us. Okay.
Excuse me, Mayor. This is Tasha. There is someone in the waiting room, Norwegian captain. Does anyone know who that might be? That should I let them in? Norwegian captain.
Yes,
No.
I believe that
Oh,
is
yes.
Linda Hateman, WRTD Executive Director.
All right, thank you.
It's a glitch on her Zoom.
All right, thank you.
All right. The next item of business is a public hearing regarding sanitary sewer easements. Ms. Jane, could you read the call, please?
Yes, the Mansfield Town Council will hold a public hearing at 7:05 p.m. at its regular meeting on December 13th, 2021 to solicit public comment regarding the request of the Standard at Four Corners LLC to remove sanitary sewer easements on parcels 815 9-1 and 815 10. At this hearing, persons may address the Town Council and written communications may be received. Information regarding the request is on file and available at the Town Clerk's Office for South Eagleville Road, Mansfield, and is posted on the town's website, mansfieldct.gov, dated at Mansfield, Connecticut, this 6th day of December 2021.
All right. Now, this hearing is scheduled for 7:05. It is now 7:05. Is there anybody here to address this hearing?
Evening, Mayor. Good evening. My name is John Nuff. I'm an attorney with an office at 147 Broad Street here on behalf of the applicants. We have been working with the town staff, as probably most of you know, with regard to the development of a mixed-use project on the two subject parcels, as well as two other adjoining parcels. Obviously, it has been brought to our attention, and we understand that there are two easements, or there's an easement with regard to the sewer line in favor of the town of Mansfield on the two subject properties, and we are simply seeking a release of that easement so that the sewer line can be relocated into the street right of way. Your town engineer, Derek, and your town planner, Linda Painter, have been extremely helpful and accommodating. Derek has reviewed the revised sewer line location and has signed off on that, and we will obviously be working in an ongoing manner with your town attorney, Kim Deneen, with regard to the construction agreement as well. So pretty straightforward. The Planning and Zoning Commission has given its positive referral, and so we would ask that the town council, both acting as the town council and the WPCA, release that easement.
Mr. Nuff, you said you're representing a firm located on Broad Street, but you didn't tell us what city.
Oh, I'm sorry, Milford, Connecticut.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else here who wishes to address the council during this public hearing on sewer easements? Hearing and seeing nobody, I will declare this hearing closed. Thank you, Mr. Nuff. We will discuss your proposal later in tonight's council meeting.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Aylesworth proposes moving his report to later in the meeting to let others proceed sooner. What does the council think? It would require a motion. Ms. Berthelot, you agreed. Is that a motion to move the town manager's report to the beginning, to the end of old business, or the beginning of old business?
I was proposing that it be moved all the way basically to the end, following the last item of new business, it could be done just prior to reports of council committees is one option. But we just have a lot of business on the agenda. That's all I was thinking.
That sounds like a good idea. Is that your motion, Ms. Berthelot?
So moved.
Is there a second? Mr. Shaken seconds. By the way, I can see almost everybody, but if you're a member of the council, please make sure that you are that I can literally see you, that your video is on. Otherwise, I won't know if you're trying to speak or not. All right. The next item is the opportunity for the public to.
Mayor, we need to vote on that motion.
Sorry. All those in favor of moving the town manager's report, please raise your hand. All right, we're unanimous. Thank you very much. Is there anybody here from the general public to address the council on any matter? Ms. Freed, welcome. You're muted, Ms. Freed.
Okay. Hi, I am here to discuss a project which is on your consent agenda from the Human Rights Commission, and I apologize for the disorderly manner in which we have proceeded so far, but I am so convinced of the virtue of this project that I'm here anyhow, being embarrassed by myself. All right, we are planning to run 4 open kind of webinars sometime this winter on getting to know your neighbors, listening to the voices of Mansfield. And we've set up 4 invited speaker and 3 panel discussions. The invited speaker is Debbie Irving, who is a woman who wrote Growing Up White. She's written a book. She is a community organizer, and she talks about what it means to be white in New England, and she's excellent. I've heard her. And so we have contracted with, well, we hope we have contracted with her for January 19th to be the kickoff speaker in this series. The next 3 sessions are sessions on what it's like to live in Mansfield as a member of a non-dominant group. Or as a member of any particular group. So we're going to have an open webinar on communities of faith in Mansfield, try to incorporate everybody. Jim Merconi of the Methodist Church has been very helpful with that. We're going to have a session on living with disabilities in Mansfield, and we have an exceptionally good person to coordinate that. And then his name is Hollis Cotton, and he was instrumental in writing the Disability Transportation, the ADT Act, and particularly with regard to transportation. And then the 3rd session is about raising a family in Mansfield. And we have several different families talking about what it's like to live here, raise kids and have your kids in school. And I think the superintendent of the town of Mansfield is going to chair that webinar. The purpose of the whole series is to introduce people who live near each other but may not know each other very well and are different from the non-dominant groups, from the dominant groups in town, so that they get to meet people who are members of other groups and just hear what it's like to live here and what some of the issues are that they face. This is in keeping with the work the Human Rights Commission initiated when we did our survey in the town. We got a relatively low turnout, but we did discover some interesting things, and that people who are living with disabilities are having concerns about getting adequate services and getting access to services. People who are raising children in Mansfield in different ethnic and religious groups have concerns about how their kids are treated in school and a couple of other things. And the faith communities are the faith communities, and they just want to talk about what their community is like. So we're going to present this series online over the course of the winter. And there's a 4th group that hasn't been incorporated yet, but it is the farming community in Mansfield, who we also would like to introduce everybody else to. We have run into a couple of difficulties because of our own inexperience in doing this. So we don't have any commitments from funding yet, but we do have one grant application that you will become familiar with shortly. And I've gotten from Debbie Irving's assistant a couple of other pieces of advice about how to raise money to pay Debbie. She's the only one that's going to cost a whole lot of money. The others will be paid a moderate honorarium. But I just wanted to tell you that according to Jim, who's the minister of the Methodist Church, we have incredible amounts of diversity in Mansfield, but the problem is still that very few people know people outside their own self-designated groups. And so what we're trying to do from the Human Rights Commission is just to introduce people to each other and say, hi, I live here. This is what my life experience is like. And if I see you on the street, I'm going to say hello to you. It's going to be a very low-cost program. And I'm still in process of organizing it, but I'm very excited about it. And so have all the other people I've spoken to when we've raised the issue. But I wanted to bring this to your attention because since we haven't got confirmed dates and we don't have any money yet, we haven't done any publicity. So I need you all to know that we're about to do this. And then we would like you to tell your friends, come to the program when it happens. And if you have any advice for me about how to proceed to make this even more powerful statement of getting to know people around here, please get in touch with me. I would be happy to hear from any of you. Thank you.
Ms. Freed, I don't believe you gave us your address. We always ask people to give name and address.
Yeah, my name is Dr. Jane Freed, and my address is 39 Olson Drive, Mansfield Center.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to address the council in public comment? All right. Thank you, Ms. Freed. Stick around because your proposal is on the agenda.
But it's on the consent agenda, is that correct? Yeah, so that's at the very end of the meeting, and I'm not sure.
No. The consent agenda is up on top.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
It is there. Yes.
All right, I'll stick around.
We'll get there momentarily.
Okay, thank you.
All right. The next item on the agenda is an executive session. Would somebody move to go into executive session? There are two reasons to go, and they're on your agenda. Well, most of this comes from personnel, so maybe somebody from personnel. Mr. Ron, you do it. Mr. Shuren.
I would move that we go into executive session for two items. One, personnel in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes 1-206A, Town Manager Performance Review. And second, responses to RFPs or bid solicitation in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes 1-206E and 1-210B24, Town Attorney.
Is there a second? Mr. Coleman seconds. All right, let me explain before we have the vote or a comment for Ms. Freed and anybody else. When we go into executive session, we turn off the recording. We excuse everybody who is not specifically invited to the executive session, and we will come back as soon as we have concluded the discussions, which are legal within those statutory provisions. So, Mr. Shaken.
Just a question. Are we going to get put in a breakout room or something, or are we going to kick everybody off of Zoom and ask them to rejoin at some time?
Yeah, this is Tasha. I spoke with IT, and everyone will have to be released from the meeting. And then if you watch on YouTube, you'll be able to see when the meeting is open again, because the screen will go down. And then when I let IT know that you guys are back in, the screen will come back up.
Can I ask a follow-up? Just, Tasha, usually on Zoom, if the host kicks someone out, they are not allowed to rejoin the meeting. Have you changed that setting?
I'm not familiar with that. I believe the last time we did an executive session in the middle, people were able to come back. They're going to have to actually log out and come back in.
Okay.
Tasha, not to complicate matters further, maybe it's because of the size of the group, but we have in the past just moved people into a waiting room, and that worked well in the personnel committee meeting. Is there a reason why we can't move participants into the waiting room and then just bring them over?
I can
tedious manually click on each participant you want to move, but
yes, I can put everybody into the waiting room.
Okay.
Okay, so the proposal is to include only council members in this in this executive session, although we may ask for the town manager to rejoin us at a certain point. So is that okay with everybody, Mr. Shaken?
I think Ron just needs to confirm that that's the motion that he's making.
Yes, that is my, so perhaps I should add to the wording of the motion with the town manager participating at a certain point in the meeting, or something of that nature.
Okay. I will try to keep this executive committee meeting as brief as possible. My expectation is that it won't go for more than 15 minutes. And I certainly hope we can get the work done relatively quickly. So with that, all in favor of going into executive session, please raise your hand. Okay, it's unanimous.
Tasha, who are you going to make the host?
Recording stopped.
I can make Ben the host.
Ben, yeah, Ben, if you're comfortable with the technology, I would suggest that. Yep.
Okay, I'm moving people into the waiting room now, and I've paused the recording, and IT should be stopping the live stream. So after I move everyone in, I'll make